Hello, 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 hello. Again, new time, weird time. We're trying middle of the day, we're trying lunch. I actually had it scheduled for 1 and then I was just sitting there being like, I'll go on early. I had plenty of time to go to the farmer's market and then get stuff prepped up. Nice casual thing. I had kind of a late breakfast, so we're going for kind of a late lunch. Yeah. Test this out. So far, time slot feels good. What's on the docket today? What's on the docket today is I went to the farmer's market, bought peppers and mushrooms, and I'm not going to use them. I keep looking in my freezer, and every time I look in my freezer, I see this. We used a few of these last time, or not last time, a few times ago. This thing has got to get used up and get out of my freezer. It's a lot of bulk, it takes up a lot of room, and it keeps trying to fall over. So, more crawfish dishes. They're still frozen, so I'm going to have to thaw them, but they're also pre-cooked. So we don't necessarily, so we can set them to thaw at the beginning, and then by the time I need them, they'll be thawed, and all will be well. You also need quite a few of them. So we're going to get out a big old bowl. First thing I'm going to do, here, I'll pop us over to the countertop. These guys. We're going to get a big old bowl. We're going to throw a bunch of those in there to thaw out. Oh, just to get us started. Let's see if this freaks the camera out. If I put my hand halfway. No, not this time. I don't even remember why I picked these up initially. I bought them for a project I was going to do, and then I didn't do that project, and they just sat in my freezer. So they're pre-cooked, which is why they're bright red. They've also got pre-seasoned, so they're going to not need a lot of work to get to where I'm happy with them. And then you only really eat the tails. And they take up a lot of room. Although we save the shells. Eventually, we're gonna our stock of shellfish shells is going to reach critical mass, and we're going to be making a fancy shellfish stock with a mixture of all these various bits and pieces. I'm going to fish out all the extra loose claws and throw them in as well, just so that this gets to be a little bit smaller. I probably won't get the shell-on version of these in the future. You can get them that it's just the tail meats without all the extra shell, and I think it's more economical. Plus, they don't come pre-seasoned, so you don't have to worry about clashing your seasonings with what the manufacturer has decided is the ideal. I can also talk about thawing, since that's what we're doing, and we have a it wants to fall over. I want to get that thing, get rid of this thing. Okay. So you can do this with any meat, shellfish, nearly anything that's frozen. If it's if you're worried about it getting in direct contact with the water, put it in a plastic bag or leave it in whatever packaging it comes in. But then you can just immerse frozen foods in cold water, and cold water is all you need. Because again, the ideal way to do it is overnight it in the fridge, and then it stays at fridge temperature, which is food safe temperature, and gently, gradually thaws. And that's the best for things like a big piece of meat. Fish and shellfish, and I think they're going to be swimming in this thing. I'll just show it off for a sec, but this is going to, you can see the seasoning. And they're floating because they've still got ice in them. So they'll gradually sink as they thaw. Fish and shellfish thaw much, much faster, especially little pieces like this, little guys. And as long as they're in just cold tap water, they'll stay food safe while they thaw out. Don't want to put them in warm water because then you're bringing the temperature up potentially to that unsafe level, and if you sit, and then they're going to be sitting around for a while, they might develop something. But cold water, because they themselves are also essentially little ice cubes, they're bringing the temperature down, and they're equalizing with the cold water, which is liquid but cold. So that's the concept there. We won't need them until pretty late on. Everything else that is going into this is going to have to be cooked or prepped in some way. I think we're gonna. Of course, I've already got a bowl for thawing, so it's not going to be a true one pot deal. But we're gonna go for a sort of a one pan thing for minimal cleanup because I don't really want to do a big cleanup today. So board out some potate. You don't need a lot of potatoes. I always have a problem of overfilling when I make an omelet. And everything spills out. They don't have as much room in them as I think they do. So I'm going to go with 2 of these small red potatoes. And we're going to cube them up pretty small. Even that might be too much, honestly. It's gonna be a pretty big omelet either way. Omelets are one of those things that's just very, very easy to do in general, and the most basic form of it is just incredibly easy. Easier than a scramble, oftentimes, because you don't have to push it around. You just let it sit there. But it's also something that you can elevate. Omelets can be very, very fancy. It's one of those things where the simplest version of it is one of the simplest things you can cook. And the fancy version of it can get just absurd. So I want these little tiny dice so they will cook pretty quickly because we're not going to boil these. We're going to essentially make home fries in the pan over here. The one pan. This pan. I don't have that duck fat anymore. No, I used that all up. So butter is going to be our next best option. Duck fat and potatoes, if you've never had them together, go amazingly. But butter and potatoes go together really well as well. And I've got plenty of butter on hand. So butter, that's about 1.5 tablespoon butter. I expect it's going to be a little bit too much, but that will be fine. I don't expect today's project is going to take extremely long. We're going to get the butter melted, starting to bubble a little bit. Then we're going to throw the potatoes in. While that is coming up, I will dice up other ingredients. I called this Gumbomelet, which is not a good name. But it's mostly because I'm going for the flavors in that sort of realm. We're not constructing a gumbo and stuffing it in an omelet, unfortunately. And I'm not sure we're sticking to gumbo terribly accurately as well. I've got some, oop, I'm on the wrong side, because we're melting our butter over there. I've got some andouille sausage, the same andouille sausage from before, the last time we made a thing and threw some in. This is very much a, I've got stuff, we're going to use it up kind of day. But just because you're forcing yourself to use up things doesn't mean you can't make it amazing. Oftentimes, some of my favorite home projects are a result of I've got this, and I've got this, and they got to get used up. Must have been some water on the bottom of that pan because I just heard a loud psst come from behind me. Either that or I've got a ghost. So andouille. Andouille is a really very nice sausage. It's like Louisiana Cajun, but it's based on a traditional French sausage, but with like a lot of African influence. The name obviously is very French, andouille. It's one of those things where it is super good, unique to its region, but has this long historic pedigree with, of course, as all things with long historic pedigrees, a lot of problematic elements to it. And you can eat it straight up. We will want it browned a bit. So I'm going to throw it in with the potatoes at some point, but not right away. We're not building a roux today. We're throwing the potatoes in now because that butter is melted and starting to foam. Diced this small, the potatoes won't take super long to cook. So we have to keep an eye on them. So they need to get started in there. This is my new pan. I just got a new pan because my old pan was starting to give up the ghost. Get the ones that are riding up down so they can all cook together. What else goes in? We got to get our Trinity in there. And I got from the farmer's market some nice small onions. Oops. Some nice small onions. I can't find small onions at the grocery store anymore. They're all these massive things. So if you need just some onion for something, you end up with half an onion hanging out that you're not using, which then you have to store. Because I, as much as I like onion, I don't necessarily want a massive, like, softball-sized onion every time I need an onion. So the farmer's market, people have had some small, reasonably sized onions, which is great, which means I can just have one of them for this recipe. Yep. They are, of course, a little tighter in the skins. Which has something to do with the aging process. It's not the growing process. It's the aging process, because you have to age these things like onions and garlic and shallots to develop those papers properly. Milkwoman, welcome in. Beautiful day at the farmer's market. My farmer's market is starting to slow down a little bit. There were some empty spots in the main drag, but I still found some goodies, which we're not cooking today. I found these onions at the farmer's market before. I will show off the goodie that I got, the real goodie that I got that I need to think about using. I got this beautiful lion's mane, which I walked past 3 times and then went back for. But we're not using that today. We're not doing a lion's mane today. I also got some bell peppers, which we are going to use part of one of them today. This guy here, because to get our flavors right, we need the Trinity, which is derived from, if you're not familiar with the Trinity, it's derived from the mirepoix, the French mirepoix, which is onions, carrots, celery. The Trinity, in Cajun tradition, is onion, celery, bell pepper. And I much prefer the Trinity because I'm not a huge fan of carrots. I've never been a huge fan of carrots. Once upon a time, I was an adamant opponent to the very concept of eating carrots. It just seemed lousy. And I convinced myself, well, I forced myself to get over it, but I still don't think they're all that great. So yeah, we're gonna put our Trinity in our Gumbomelet as well. Squash, pumpkins, peppers, potatoes. I was also seeing squash, less squash probably. Lots of bell peppers, lots of potatoes, lots of hot peppers. End of season raspberries showed up all of a sudden. Lots of people had raspberries. There must be a late variety of raspberry that is just coming in. Because I think of raspberries as an early summer thing, and they were in the early summer, but all of a sudden there's a whole bunch of them now. Still got lots of tomatoes. And apples, lots of apples. Okay, I'm going to take our celery, come over to our potatoes, which are, again, cut them pretty small. Ooh, and we're getting our nice brown edges on them. So I'm going to start throwing other things in there because the potatoes are probably just about good, so we can start dropping the temp with other additions. We don't want any of these things to cook to absolute death. We want some texture left in here, but we also want them to shrink up a little bit, but give up some of their water. And to that end, I am now going to salt our pan lightly. Don't go nuts. We don't want this to be a salt bomb, because there are some salty ingredients going in a bit. our bell pepper. We don't need all of this. This is a massive bell pepper. Probably only need like one lobe. And I'm probably going to take the lobe that's indented on itself, because that's the one that's most likely to go off down the line, I think. It's hard to say with these farmers market ones. Nope, yeah, it's already suffering a little bit on that part. Interesting. There's no external sign. See, there's a little bit of fur in the inside here. And there was no external sign of that at all, or otherwise I wouldn't have grabbed this specific pepper right there. Right there. Well, we're going to cut that little blemish off. So I was right to select that part. Just from experience, picking farmers market bell peppers, they tend to have they tend to go off faster than the store-bought ones, and have little hidden blemishes. We're taking all the pith. Whoa! We're back. That was my neighbor informing me that I must have leaned on the button for my trunk at some point, because my trunk was open out there. He surprised me. Also, hi, Sosleys. There's nothing in my trunk. It's not like I'm going to lose something with my trunk being open, but... now I gotta pick up the pace and get these peppers in there real quick like. What was I saying before I got interrupted? I've completely forgotten. It went out of my head. God, it's getting warm out there. It was really chilly this morning. It's getting warm out there. Okay. I'm gonna get rid of these scrappy bits. Hop over to our stove. And I think I'm gonna throw the sausage pieces in there as well. My neighbor knocked on the door, said my trunk was open, so I went out and fixed it, but I muted myself for the moment while I was doing that, so that's why I cut off for a moment. Hi! Saganacht. Saganacht? Judging my knife skills, well, hopefully they're not too bad. What else goes in this? Mostly just, most of the rest of this is seasoning. So we're going to get out smoked paprika, bell pepper, garlic powder, oregano, onion powder, well, you're welcome to hang out and judge and criticize and do all of the above. I feel like I did a better job on the dice for the potatoes and sausages and onions, and then I had to kind of rush the end on that pepper. So there are some irregular pepper pieces. But we're going to add seasonings to this. It's not much of a gumbo. Without them. I think we've got too much in the pan as well. I might end up saving half of it. So onion powder, garlic powder, oregano, quite a lot of smoked paprika, some chipotle, which I know is not traditional. Too much if I want to make it into an omelet. This is too much to. This will explode if I try to put all of this into an omelet, which is the ultimate thing. There's already salt in the pan. I salted when I put in the celery and onions. So this is probably going to make 2 omelets. Yeah, it's a gumbomelet. You're new here, so you don't know how I cook, but I cook nonsense. I mean, it's not nonsense. It's mostly tasty, but it's not the standard traditional stuff. So yeah, this is too much filling for our omelet. We only have one major ingredient left to put in there, and that's the crawfish. We have an ad in progress. Sorry, I didn't. It caught up to me. It snuck up on me. This one just says Cajun spice seasoning. What's in there? Salt, paprika, black pepper, and cayenne pepper. Okay, well, those are all in my thing anyways. A gumbo quiche? Maybe. I don't think I've ever made a quiche. I don't have crust for it. Temperature needs to come down. What's the egg part of a quiche look like? Eggs and milk and a crust. Welcome back. Yes, I do have ads. We play 90 seconds of ads. Well, I have a 90-second ad break scheduled every however long Twitch said I had to do it to get the thing, and it works. So welcome back. Sorry about that. We do run ads. It helps support the channel. I think this wants to come off the heat. For the time being. You're worried about the spatula. This? Don't be. That spatula is very heat hardy. A quiche. So I pulled up a quiche recipe from Sally's Baking. Which I could do, except that I don't have a crust, so I'd be making a crustless one, which I'm not sure about. Because we're not making a pie crust from scratch now. And I don't have any frozen crusts, plus we'd be thawing out a frozen crust. Now, it shouldn't take too long to bake. So it would be more like a Spanish tortilla. We could do that. The Spanish tortilla. Which we're already pretty much there, except that I've got extra ingredients. And I've diced my potatoes instead of doing a thin slice on them. Spanish tortilla. Okay. You're worried about the silicone leaching into the food. Silicone's inert. At this temperature, at least. I wouldn't stick it in boiling oil, but... Okay, well, this is going to be our ingredient filling... But we're going to have to get it out of that pan, because I guess I'm going to use the pan. Okay, we're getting creative. Okay. I have a plan. This is coming off the heat. We don't need it to be blazing hot now. I guess we're going to re-butter the pan, but only lightly, because there's still some in there. The heat is currently off because I just want to gently melt that butter. Get out some more of our little various bowls and dishes. So if I'm going to make a approximation of a tortilla, it should have more potato in it. But I guess I'll get started. We're doing eggs anyways. Okay. Tortilla is sort of similar to an omelet, so we're not wildly off the mark. It's also sort of similar to a quiche. So again, we're not wildly off the mark. It's not baked though. It's made on the, well, it could be baked. You can. Uh, 3 eggs. Probably as much as that pan can handle. This recipe calls for 8 eggs, which is way too much. That's like making a whole pizza. Okay. Get our butter rolled around so everything is nice and buttery. Well, we're rethinking the omelet at this point because the amount of filling. I'm increasing the egg to accommodate the amount of filling. Into more of a tortilla. Let's just throw caution to the wind and add some crema. Quite a lot of it. Caution, be gone. Let's see what this looks like. This is a bit too much for tiny whisk, so medium-sized whisk. This is gonna be weird. This is gonna be weird. This is gonna be an adventure, I think. Okay. Set that aside because we have another ingredient to prep still. Because don't forget, at the very beginning, we started by putting all these crawfish in this giant bowl. And all we want are the tails. So we're going to just pull tails. Oop. That one broke apart. That one still has some of his feet. The whole point of this, the whole point of the project today was to use up some of these crawfish. And use up other things that I've got hanging around that need using up. And I think that's all of the oop, no, there's one. Oh, that one, the shell came off and not the tail part. Which is what eventually want all of them to do, because we're not putting shells in this thing. So we're going to gently remove the tail meats from their shells. And then I'm just putting the empty shells back in the bowl. I will deal with them all afterwards. We're going to save them, and eventually we're going to be making them into stock. And this guy broke, so we actually have to tear him open to get his meats. Okay. I'm going to split them so that there are more little nuggety bites of them. And we're leaving the front bits on as well. That's some of the guts from the front end of the critter. And I'm going to throw them right in here. This thing is still hot. Enough to warm them through, but not so hot that it's going to cook them anymore. And we'll just get them stirred in. Okay. Big bowl of shells and heads is going to go back over here. Don't throw away your shells and heads. They are packed, jam-packed with flavor, all kind of flavor. A little bit of a mess here. The pan is not on. I guess we're gonna come back over and we're gonna make a mess. We're gonna make a little bit of a mess. Okay. So the pan is on, but it's been off for several minutes now. So it's cooled off to the point where it's not going to immediately cook our egg mix. If you throw away your shells, you're just wasting the money you spent on the shells. Or if you caught your own, the effort you spent to catch those shells. But I can't stop you because I don't even know you and we don't live anywhere near each other. So I did it this way because I want to kind of distribute, but have a thin layer of egg underneath, sort of holding everything together. But have it liquidy enough that everything can kind of rise up. Because I'm not really following a recipe at this point at all. I'm just making it up. So a fun feature of the new pan I've got, it is a nonstick pan, but it's specifically rated for high heat, which means it is oven safe, although not broiler safe. It's not quite that high of a heat. So we could, in theory, get the bottom started and then bake this thing right in that pan. Okay, well, we are at the stage of just cooking this thing now. Just cooking this beastie. Shell's hot dish, perfect. That's how you make Shell's mac and cheese. You save your shrimp shells and with paper towel. You shave your shrimp shells and then you put cheese on them. Oh, paper towels ended up in the camera station for some reason. We're going to take this opportunity to clean up a bit. So saving your shells is a lot like saving the bones, the carcass from a chicken. Yed! Oh my god, it's Yed. Streamer extraordinaire, Yed. And you know what? I have enough downtime that I'm going to I spelled that right. Yed, fellow streamer here on Twitch. Whatever the dot is, twitch.tv. Plays games, does engineering talk streams, which is something that I'm unfamiliar with. Go follow Yed. Hi Yed, how's it going? Welcome in, welcome, welcome. We are no longer making an omelet. We're making kind of a tortilla. We're still going with our Cajun-inspired flavors. So yeah, it needs to cook until it's done. A Gumby Franken omelet. Yep, that is exactly what it is. I'm going to put a lid on it to hopefully help sort of steam off the top. Wow, that lid fits that pan perfectly, even though that lid is much older than that pan. And a different brand. Frankenquiche. So we've kind of drifted into the realm of a Spanish tortilla, but I didn't want to add more potato, so we don't have that sort of potato layer. The potato's diced up in it. And I should make a serving sauce for it. It's already got quite a bit of dairy in it, so probably shouldn't make a dairy-based sauce. You may occasionally notice or hear a click or a whirring fan in the background. I've got the dehydrator going again. I picked up some farmer's market. Ooh, a salsa. That's a great idea. I picked up some farmer's market chili peppers. And we used some of them for the mapo tofu on Wednesday. But they are not keeping. I ended up throwing a couple of them away because they were starting to go off very, very fast. So all the remainder have gone in the dehydrator to dehydrate, so that I do not end up throwing the rest of them or any more of them away. We can make a salsa. That might be good because this is going to be kind of a heavy, greasy thing. So a fresh salsa might be just the ticket. And I've got some tomatoes here. And a good, sharp knife so that I don't crush the tomatoes while I'm slicing them up, although they still want to crush a little bit. Hey, more knife skills for you to judge. A fresh salsa is not typically what you would pair with. Oop, a little sprouty bit. It's not typically what you'd pair with this type of thing. 17 out of 5 knife skills. That's very high. That's extremely high. I don't think that's accurate. Especially this end part where I'm trying to cut these curved ones into squares. I will hang on to the other half of our tomato. Possibly has a afternoon snacking device. Oh, and I will include, I received these. This is not a jalapeno, which is what I would normally add here. This is a shishito, which some of them are not spicy. This one is medium spicy. Maybe a little bit more than medium. I'm going to take the pith out. Taking the pith out of this one. Yeah, it's definitely catching up to me a little bit. I'm kind of just building the sauce right here on the board, which you can do. Oop. My tortilla made a sound, so I'm going to go take a look at it. Well, most of it does not jiggle. The top is still a little bit liquidy, which would be the time when we would have to flip it. It's probably gotten reasonably browned on the bottom as well. Let's take a peek. Yeah. It's actually looking great. I want the top to set, but we don't want too much more heat getting added to the bottom because we don't want it to burn. So I'm actually going to just leave it lid on, burner off to go on residual. A little bit of onion for our fresh salsa. That was a squeak. Well, as mentioned, I've got these little baby onions from the farmer's market, so I could do half of a red. We could do half of a red. I don't know why I've committed to doing this all on the board and with one small knife, but at this point, yeah, the farmer's market onions that I got were not just mini, but also mixed. So we got yellows, reds, and whites in a little bag, which is just great. All onions should be like that, so that you can get little mixes of onions. Okay, again, I don't know why I've committed to building this sauce on the board. It seems like a bad idea. And it's not too late to stop doing it. I'm just making it harder for myself. My timer says we have an ad coming up in a minute and a half. So heads up. I just wanna. Oh, it's because I'm trying to avoid using another bowl, but. Okay. I'm using another bowl. I'm using the small metal bowl, and we're just going to mix it up with my fingers. Selena, you are first. You are the first person to arrive here today. No one can prove otherwise. Congratulations, and welcome in. Oh, golly. I think this time slot might... If you're not familiar with what I've been doing this week, I've been testing out new time slots. And I think this one, so far, looks like a winner. This looks like a pico de gallo style to me. We're not putting... Gee, that was not good. I just knocked all of the knives off of my knife block. Directly onto my computer by opening the door too fast. Okay. Chaos. We're making a chunky pico de gallo style sauce today. And I will not be putting cilantro in, because this is a no cilantro household. I thought that a nice fresh thing to counterbalance the rich and oily thing would be a good combo. Let's get all of my knives back on the block here. This is the danger in having the knives right next to one of the doors of my cabinets, although this is literally the first time it's ever happened, so I was very surprised. Okay, you guys can't see it, but it's just slightly off to the side there. In fact, oh no, I'm too bound in. I can't rotate my camera. It would be nice to have little green specks in there, though. So we're gonna do the old classic. Parsley, because it looks exactly like cilantro. And I've got some, and it's nice and fresh. So, and we're back from the ad. How's the tortilla we can take a peek at it. The heat is off. It has just been residualing its way up. Oop, and the lid has gotten... It's no longer jiggly. It just has some oil on the top, which means we're cooked. So I will slide it off. Well, that burner's not even hot anymore. It probably has a decent brown on the bottom. I'm going to use the worst possible knife for cutting a small amount of herbs, which is the tiny razor sharp paring knife. So, we want to get that guy now out of his pan and onto a plate. And we want to do that in one quick motion so that what is currently the bottom becomes the top. Because that is the side that is going to look the most done. And that's the plan. And that's the plan. And we have no reason to not do that right now. We have no reason to not do that right now. We've got half an onion, half a tomato, and 2/3 of a bell pepper that we're going to have to use up probably today, because these things don't keep very long cut. I hope, yes. I hope that the other side looks good and not burnt. But that's the gamble I'm going to play right now. We need a nice big plate for it. And I have the perfect one that's at the bottom of the stack. Ugh. We're going to use the black flat plate, which is just the same size as our pan. So we can do the flip. I think the risk is more that it'll be too brown and look burnt on the bottom rather than be not brown enough. So you stick your plate on your... Ooh, it's hot. The pan is hot. Press it together and you go flip, and then you pick it up, and it's a little over. It's a little toasty. But we came out in one piece. We're just a little toasty on top. But it did work. And we can cut it with a non-razor sharp knife so I don't gouge my plate. Honestly, the other side probably looks a little bit better because it's not quite so brown. It didn't get super tall either. Ooh, screech. Okay, well, that's what it looks like. Now it's a Pac-Man. Yep. Now it's a Pac-Man. Well, it's probably enough for two. I think eating half of this is a full meal. This is our project today. That only took an hour. And a lot of people showed up, which is good. Good combination. Golly. I'm going to go take a photo of this as is. Try to give it the most... Jeez, everything's getting stuck on everything today. Forgot my decorative salsa. We took a photo of this as is. Okay, it's chaos today. Take a photo of this as is. We'll come back. We'll give it a taster. We'll see how we did. We'll see what this nonsense is. Come on, wake up. Come on. What are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you doing this? Okay. I logged the tablet out of Messenger, and every time I open it up now, it's like, you've been logged out of Messenger. Please log back into Messenger. And then it tries to load it up, and it's... technology sometimes. Okay. It doesn't look the most amazing. It actually probably looks better on the other side, because you can see more of what's in it. But let's give this the old tasteroo. I'm actually going to start by tasting over here, the part that didn't salsa up. Let's see what we're working with. Mmm. 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 Ooh. Mmm. Oh, it's very good. Mmm. All the various elements sort of hit you separately, one at a time. So there's the potatoes, which are a little bit crisp on the outside, or a little bit tough, chewy on the outside, but really fluffy on the inside. You get little bites of sausage and crawfish. The crawfish has its own seasoning, so it has a slightly different seasoning in addition to tasting like crawfish. The pieces of sausage are nice and firm. The bell peppers that are in the mix have a little bit of texture. The onions and the celery kind of probably got cooked into a little bit too much. But that's fine because we have a fresh element. So we'll take a bite with our fresh salsa and see how that contributes. Mmm. Hmm. Well, it certainly adds, it makes it more savory and gives a good crunchy, fresh texture to it all, which is very nice. I almost think that the whole thing needs like a dollop of sour cream, but I don't want to add any more dairy to it because we put quite a bit of crema in the egg mix, which actually has made the egg mix simultaneously very rich, but also a little bit light. The texture on the egg mix is light, but all that crema makes it taste heavy. A little dollop probably wouldn't hurt. I don't think I have any sour cream, so I can't do it even if I wanted to. I have more crema. Well, it's not exactly what I had set out to do, except it is exactly what I had set out to do because it used up several ingredients that I have sitting around, and that was the whole point. We used half of our crawfish, a chunk of our andouille, and some random vegetables. So, and some eggs. Oh God, the cookbook. I have not actually been working on a cookbook or even a loose collection of recipes, aside from recording everything I do so that I can always go back and check on it in the future. This is pretty good. The thing is, if I was to make this deliberately, I would do it differently. It came out this way because I changed my mind with what I was doing. All right, the fruit fly. I've been seeing them. They've been, that's another reason I got to use vegetables up. Crawfish gumbomelet. So at the moment, my cookbook is the VODs, which are over on my YouTube channel. If you ever want to review a recipe I've done that I have not written down, they're over on my YouTube channel. Just waiting for me to go through them and write them down. So yeah, if I was to do this deliberately from the start, making a tortilla, I would mandolin the potato and lay it out in the pan to make the base, because then when you flip it, there would be this crispy scalloped potato on the top, which is how you make like the traditional Spanish tortilla. The flavors are great. I would stick with the flavors. Flavors actually work wonderfully. It also might go for a 4th egg, just to make it a little bit taller and make it like a real share meal. Cut! Oh my goodness! Cut! You're back. You've subscribed. You've resubscribed. Welcome back. Welcome to Saturday afternoon lunch time slot. I actually really liked this time slot. I probably would try to start. Yeah, no, I quite like this time slot. I've been fussing around with Saturday trying to figure out when the best time is. Doing it too early in the morning meant that I didn't have time to go to the farmer's market, although that's going to wrap up in a month. But doing it in the evening, I also wasn't happy with for Saturday. So I think this time slot actually worked out great. Madness as usual. We had a little bit of chaos today. I've got a big bowl of shells to deal with. We dropped all of our knives. I don't know if you were here for that. Thank you so much for subscribing. 6 months. Oh my God, that doesn't say 6 months. That says 6 months in advance. Holy heck. Holy heck. I misread that. Cut. Let me shake your hand. Oh my God. With us for the long haul. Taking advantage of that September. Which I forget to advertise every time I'm on. It's September. If you're interested in subscribing, now's the time to do it because you get discounts. Well, I guess I have to stick around for another 6 months because Cut's going to be here. That was good too. Yeah. But yeah, so this was a tester of a time slot. I was just using up odds and ends. And honestly, this recipe shouldn't even have taken an hour. I stretched it out by waffling around and talking and doing stuff, which I suppose is the nature of sort of a more lunchy thing. But thank you so much. Thank you so much. I can't. The chaos, yes, having some chaos helps stretch things out too. Because the original idea of going on Saturday was that I would do something like brunchy, but then I never did. I did like for the first 2 times or something, and then I just cooked normal stuff. So the time slot became kind of irrelevant. And then I got rice. I keep just I'm so distracted right now. What was I saying? I don't know. Well, thank you for subscribing, Cut, and welcome in. But I'm wrapping us up because we just tasted our food. It's nice and hot and ready to go. Oh yeah, I need to do more emote. We've unlocked more emote slots that I haven't used yet, so we've got to get some emotes in there as well. That's also a good reminder. But yeah, so I don't know who's on at this time at all. I don't know that I've been. Oh hey, there's my channel. I left my channel open. Why did I do that? Um, I I'm gonna rate us over to Ilana today. So before you go to work, I don't know what time zone you're on, but good job. Trying to figure out what time zone that is, but you probably work at a weird time. So yeah, watch out for me for like the lunchtime slot. This time slot. Saturdays going forward, because I'm pretty enjoying it. We're gonna go raid Ilana. Ilana has done cooking and promises to do cooking again in the future. She's currently not cooking, although she was doing a cooking challenge in the game she's playing. So that's sort of tangential. None of my cooking follows are on right now. Yeah, I'm not sure what else to say. Oops. I'm not sure what else to say, other than take care of yourselves. We're gonna have a little bit of an awkward end of the month this month. I'm gonna miss 2 of the days of the final discount hurrah. Which means I'll just have to go hard the other 2 days. So yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. I had a good time. We made some new friends. And we made a chaotic mess. But good food came out the other end. So I will catch you next time. Probably Monday. I think Monday was a good day this last week. So probably Monday. I'm going to wave as the countdown finishes. Bye. And then we're going to push stop.